Thank you, everyone, for hosting Visit Flanders in this occasion. When Emma contacted me about this opportunity, I immediately thought at a specific region within Flanders, which is the northern region of Belgium. This region, this area within Flanders is called Flanders Fields. For those amongst you who belong to a country that belongs to the Commonwealth, you might be familiar with the Flanders Fields. For those who are don't belong to the Commonwealth, it is interesting for you to understand that this region is famous for I will show you a map meantime, because it is the area where the Great War took place in Belgium. This is the western part of the Western Front. And as you might remember, between 2014 and 2018, it was the heart of a big project of commemoration because of the 100th anniversary of the Great War. This anniversary became indeed the occasion for the area and for Visit Flanders to be positioned on a touristic map. Everything started about 2 years before the start of the anniversary in 2012. The government allocated budget to this area for improving accessibility, to work on new offers and experiences for the tourist. But there was budget for organizing and creating an international marketing campaign aiming at attracting tourists. What I have just said, let's say that is all in old language, because in the end, this is what exactly we consider a traditional approach towards tourism. What happens at a certain moment? Everything was running as planned. So investments, Visit Flanders thinking at a international campaign via the offices abroad. One of these offices abroad is ours in Milan, based in Milan. We have 12 in Europe and elsewhere in the world. And at a certain moment, there was something that was quite disruptive, because a local newspaper criticized this approach. And this article became the voice of the local people, which thought and felt that the institutions, the local institutions, Visit Flanders, the Flemish government, were making something tragic and sacred for them, commercial, too much commercial. They felt they were kind of used for commercial purposes of the government in terms of reputation abroad, and used by those operators who saw business opportunities in this potential increase of traffic towards the Flanders Fields. This moment was taken very seriously by the local institutions, which indeed changed a little bit the paradigm, as the Susanna in the introduction mentioned. So they decided not to close a few people into one meeting room and change the plans, but they really decided to gather the local residents into moments of conversations, discussions, workshops, where they could really share what they felt, what this anniversary meant to them, what they also would like to achieve during the 4 years of this of the whole period. Everything was well. The local institutions showed a very interesting willingness to listen and understand, and the effect, the result was refocus of the goals of all the anniversary program. It was a refocus of the definition of the local DNA of the destination, focusing more on the concept of remembrance, focusing more on history, focusing also more on all lessons learned from such a tragedy that was the Great War, in perspective to give positive messages to the next generations. And if you hear me, you understand that this new approach has on paper nothing to do with tourism, if we consider tourism an industry, an economy, but it has a lot to do for the local community, for the residents. So the institutions were wise enough and open enough to really embrace these positions and further stimulate also the participation of the residents and embrace also very practical ideas. Like, for example, there was a massive distribution of poppy seeds. The symbol of the Flanders fields is a red poppy. I'm sure you understand what I mean. And we distributed abroad and locally to the people visiting the poppy seeds, which people could take home and make them grow in their gardens, on their terraces, at home, as a sign of connection with the place that where they were. Another example was an event that is called the Light Front, where 300 volunteers stood in line with torches. It was very emotional, just like the last post at the Menin Gate. That is another symbolic moment that takes place every day under the gate in Ypres, that is the city, let's say capital city and symbol also of the war. So everything was really created and encouraged by the ground, from the residents and the city and the citizens. The shift was from considering the anniversary as an opportunity for business to an opportunity for making the local community flourish. The residents accepted the fact that new visitor might come and visit their places. They were not opposite. They didn't. They were not against people visiting their places. They just wanted to make sure that these visitors shared the same feelings and could really understand on the place what everything that happened in 1940, 1980 meant and means today for them. And that is very, it was a very important shift that also was very inspiring for what Visit Flanders developed later with the project that is called Travel to Tomorrow, where we really would like to change a paradigm in the tourism industry and focus more on making local destinations and local community flourish and take people from abroad to these destinations where they can have meaningful encounters, where they can experience something
that leaves, that open their minds, that leaves something to them, so that they come back home transformed with new consciousness, with a new mentality. Maybe small change, but still, this is the positive power of tourism we are aiming for. So we don't consider tourism as an industry any longer. We focus more on hosting rather than on attracting tourists. We call them visitors rather than tourists. And as a host, you are more willing to share what your DNA, what your knowledge is. And as a guest, rather than a tourist, you are more willing to accept these experiences. And you are already, in principle, more respectful rather than being just a tourist. What is important is that remembrance and the memories of everything that happened in the Flanders fields really survive thanks to tourism. So tourism is not something that we want to stop. Again, the residents in the Flanders fields accepted the presence of other people coming from abroad. The most important thing is to connect these people, making sure that they share and that there is a connection between them. A little, say, sum up of these concepts are expressed in the video that I would like to share, so that you also see a little bit of the places that I mentioned. Here it is.
We vroegen ons af, als we reizen naar morgen, hoe dat zou zijn. Welk Vlaanderen we willen tonen en bezoeken. Welk Vlaanderen we willen zijn. Wel, eigenlijk zagen we het al gebeuren bij de herdenking van de Eerste Wereldoorlog in Flanders Fields. Het is een voorbeeld van hoe een bestemming op zoek gaat naar kansen om te floreren. Het is een verhaal waarbij bewoners, bezoekers van over de hele wereld en ondernemers een gezonde balans zoeken tussen het leven en het beleven. Tussen de realiteit van elke dag en het bewust bezoeken van de streek. Want de ziel van Flanders Fields zit niet alleen in de mensen die hier wonen en werken, maar doordringt iedereen die het bezoekt. Elk van hen voelt zich verbonden. Elk van hen voelt de bezieling. Het is namelijk een deel van onze geschiedenis, maar evenzeer die van onze bezoekers. Het is een plaats die stemt tot respectvol bezoek. Een beleving die je even doet stilstaan bij alles wat was en is. Maar die tegelijk iets in beweging zet. Want reizen, morgen, is een bezoek brengen aan een gemeenschap die ervaringen rijker maakt en een leven lang bijblijven. Een gemeenschap die voortdurend op zoek gaat naar balans, waar bewoners, bezoekers en ondernemers betrokken worden en meerwaarde creëren voor elkaar. Dit is het verhaal van Flanders Fields. Maar het potentieel voor bezieling en balans zit overal. Ook bij jou. Dus welk verhaal schrijf jij?
So what does this case might mean for decentered communities that are the heart of today? This is really something that I wanted to share because I really think it's important that it doesn't really matter if you're centered or decentered. The most important thing is that you start working, focusing on what's your DNA. Who you are, what your destination, what your community means, and what keeps the people of the community together. And that then, on a second step, identify if somewhere in the world there might be opportunities for connecting your own community to other communities that live elsewhere, and then, well, yeah, start activities to making some promotion and making sure that these connections happen in your place. It doesn't really matter how much money you have, because we thought, Emma and I, in the last days about these. I can't say that Flanders is a poor region, but you saw in well, what I told you before, it's not really how much money you put on a marketing campaign. If you don't have an agreement with the local community, money doesn't really count, and it's not money that helps you to reach that balance that the video also mentioned between residents, visitors, and local businesses. So Emma, that was...
Thank you so much, Giovanna. It was really interesting, and I'm very honored to have you here, because Visit Flanders for us in Italy is a best practice that we study, and that we also always try, and we also always try and appreciate reading what you are doing as a really visionary strategy, and also concrete implementation in your destination. And so thank you for sharing us this case, and for sharing us how with Travel to Tomorrow you are doing you're following a process for your destination, which you like to call DMMO, your organization DMMO rather than DMO. And this is something that we like to share with our destinations as well. The need not to think only about marketing, but to think about management and marketing and leaving an impact to the community. Because if you're happy as a resident, then you can host people. If you are not happy, if something is going wrong in your community, in your destination, then it's very difficult to think to attract people, to attract visitors. And so my first question, according to what you share with us, is about how you actually do this in your destination. How, what are the activities, the actions to help the local community to connect, as you said, the local community with the marketing efforts, and what are your plans, your activities, your how you bring the local community to have this shift of mind, to understand that tourism is not just tourism anymore, but is more like a visitor economy, as new strategies are saying, and how it's happening in your destination. So the social field, cultural field, and everything happening there, how you are connecting it to tourism or to the travel field.
To reply your first question, I can say that there was a shift, not only in Visit Flanders approach, but really in Visit Flanders as a company. So we identified a new role for Visit Flanders. So we want to enable our local partners, even the local institutions, because we are at the regional level, and then you have provinces, you have the art cities, which have their own local tourist offices, DMOs. So we want to enable all these subjects to make sure that they can create the same fields for creativity and for sharing initiatives at the local level, because we learned that the scale of these innovations, the scale of this kind of thinking is really local. So we can't really create something on a regional level if we don't find at local levels what they want to share, to achieve with an international community. This takes, let's say, new resources of Visit Flanders to this new role, but we still have an important role in terms of promotion, communication. The fact that we have to connect these communities is what, let's say, is traditionally called promotion and marketing, but with a new consciousness. So it's not about telling about Flanders or a specific area in one country, but it is really studying who, no matter where they are, might be interested in a specific experience, in a specific connection. So everything is really is a consequence of the fact that we want to focus on what happens in the community, and we want to make sure that the community flourish, thrive, thanks to the presence of the visitors, but not only by tourism, by the presence of the visitors. It really first there must be something happening in the places, and marketing comes after. Did I reply your question?
Yes, exactly. Okay. Yeah, perfectly. And my last question, and then I will. Then there will be Alyosha with us. My last question is connected to what you said right now about marketing. So from one side, we are working to let the community flourish, and how do you balance this with marketing? Because so many times here, but I think in many destinations, we think that we need to do promotion and marketing like at a really strong level without a strategy, without understanding where the break-even point is, without understanding where the marketing effort has to stop and needs to target more and to address less people, but really focused and targeting. And so how are you balancing marketing efforts with flourishing of the local community?
The work on the local community. Well, this is really a work in progress for us as well. I don't have a clear answer right now. I can share that we are indeed actually ending a process of also reshaping the roles within Visit Flanders. Because we need to be more present and active in terms of management, in terms of mapping out all these local communities, making them flourish, and not only be active in promotion. So this is really an open question for us as well, to, as you said, balance the different roles. So far, promotion and communication abroad was prominent in the activities of Visit Flanders. It will probably change, but it's really new for us as well, because when we started Travel to Tomorrow was considered as a project running next to the marketing strategy. This can't be any longer. We can't have two strategies. We must have one fully implemented, fully connected, and we are working on it right now. So follow us, and I could tell you more.